everyone! I'm going to be showing you how to use NGPhylogeny.fr to build phylogenetic trees. I'm only going to cover the basic use of this program, not the finer details on the differences between the aligners and the inference methods. NGPhylogeny.fr is a website that was developed by researchers in France, which allows you to build phylogenetic trees without needing to program or code. To start using this program, we're going to come down to a la carte and click on it. Here they give you several fields to fill out to build a workflow. We will come back to the name in 1 second. We're going to head down to the tools. This multiple alignment tool basically aligns a bunch of sequences against each other rather than what BLAST does, which is aligning one sequence against all known sequences. So we're just going to come down and click on muscle. I'm not going to explain why we're choosing this one as our multiple aligner. Under alignment curation, there are several options. This is more for going to click on TNT, which is our parsimony aligner. If you can't remember, you can also scroll down to this workflow skeleton and read through. This is a phylogenetic analysis under parsimony. Parsimony is this inference method. You could switch it if you would like to be this phylogeny ML, which is our maximum likelihood, and Mr. Bayes is our Bayesian inference method. I'm going to come back up to TNT since we're going to start with our maximum parsimony. And then step 4 is tree rendering. You can turn this on optionally, but you won't use it, so it might be a little bit faster if you don't turn it on. And then under this workflow name, because I've selected TNT as my aligner, I'm just going to name it parsimony. That way, when I make multiple workflows, I'll know which inference method I was using when I got that specific tree. Once you have this all set, you can just come down to the bottom and click on Create Workflow. In here, all you have to do is upload the sequences for this particular workflow. So you can either download that FASTA file that you were given as part of the case file and upload it here, or you can come over, highlight all of the sequences, and copy and paste them into this box here just as they appear in the Google Doc. This website does give you the ability to change parameters on the different algorithms that they're using. We're not going to worry about that, but just for future reference, if you ever use this program, you can change those things here. Once you have your sequences uploaded, you can just click on Submit. So here you can see that it's giving us the name parsimony, and it's also telling us that it's being initialized on this Galaxy server. So what that means is it's basically finding space online for it to run this analysis. Depending on the number of people using the website and the complexity of the sequences that you've given it, it might take it a minute to do that. So in here we can see that it's starting and it gives us kind of progress steps along the way, which is nice. While you're waiting for this to run, you can come back to this home button and build your second workflow. Again, you're going to need make 3, so while you're waiting, you can just come in and build your maximum likelihood workflow. We're going to select muscle as our aligner, again, skipping this alignment curation. Instead of selecting TNT though, we're going to select PHYML, which is our maximum likelihood, and we're not going to select this display since it takes extra time. As I selected the maximum likelihood as my inference method, I'm just going to name this workflow maximum likelihood. Again, scrolling to the bottom and clicking on Create Workflow. I'm going to paste all of my sequences in here, or you can upload the file if you downloaded it. Again, scrolling all the way to the bottom and clicking Submit. So in here, this one's also being initialized. It might take it a minute. So now you're saying, well, how do I get back to my original workflow? If you come up here under Workspace, you can see we have this NGPhylogeny Analyze Maximum Likelihood, which is the one we just set up, as well as this parsimony one. So we can click on the parsimony one and see how it's doing. In here, we can see that it's not quite finished yet. So while we're waiting, again, we can come back to Home under a la carte, and we'll make our last alignment method. So clicking on muscle for our multiple aligner. skipping alignment curation, selecting Mr. Bayes for our Bayesian inference, and leaving this display off since it takes extra time. I'm just going to name this workflow Bayesian so that I know which inference method I was using. Scrolling to the bottom and clicking on Create Workflow. Either uploading your file here or pasting all of the sequences again, and then clicking on Submit. Now that this one is in, as the outgroup, which is very nice, we don't have to reroute it. And it's created this tree for us here. Since this is already our outgroup, we're just going to export this so that way you can upload it for your report. You can change this format to PNG. The SVG files take a really long time to download and they take up a lot of space. You don't need that. So you could just change this to PNG. You're going to click on full image in case you accidentally zoom in or something. And then give it a file name. This one is from our parsimony analysis. So I'm just going to name this one parsimony. And then I can click on export. Again, depending on how many people are using the program and the complexity of your tree, it can take some time for it to download. But once it does, there it goes. It's asking me where I'd like to download it. I'll click OK. And then you can see in here, I'm sorry, I have dark mode on, that we have basically saved this tree and you'll be able to upload that into your report. Since this tree is done and I've now downloaded it, I can come back over here to NGPhylogeny.fr, and then I can go in and check on the other ones just as I did that one. Coming back into Workspace and clicking on Maximum Likelihood, and we see this one's still not done yet. We'll come back in and check on Bayesian. And this one's not even initialized yet. Sometimes these things take longer than others. Now this one is done. Coming over to ITOL, this is our maximum likelihood tree. And in this case, we can see that our outgroup is not the first thing that's listed. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that this is the outgroup, the thing that is not closely related to everything else. The way we're going to force the program to do that is we're just going to click on it normally, come down to tree structure, and then click on reroute the tree here. Say, I know that this is the outgroup, so force the tree to arrange itself that way. And now our tree is arranged the correct way. You can come into here and turn on some of the other settings if you would like to, kind of, make your tree your own. At the end, again, exporting. Instead of using an SVG, which will take forever to download, use a PNG, full image, and then a method you use to generate that tree. Clicking on export and then just waiting for it to download. And there we go. The last one I think you can do on your own. This is the Bayesian one. This one will take the longest for it to actually infer. This is the most complicated of the algorithms, so if it takes a little bit longer, up to half an hour, don't worry about it. All you have to do is go into ITOL and make sure that it's routed correctly. Good luck!